The moment Miami lost Jimmy Butler, everything unraveled. Some people thought it was just another star leaving for a better title chance, but the truth is more shocking. The Heat's entire identity began to crumble. They had soared on the back of a relentless competitor, only to watch him thrive elsewhere and leave them with a roster that felt lost. Now, with constant fourth-quarter meltdowns and baffling late-game collapses, fans are left wondering if this is just bad luck, or if a deeper rot has set in behind the scenes. But that's not all. The strangest part? This sudden breakdown isn't just about missing one big name. Observers claim the team, once known for its unwavering discipline, is psychologically shaken. Whispers of internal tensions, questionable leadership, and bizarre performance slumps are swirling around. And while the front office scrambles to find a new path, whether through trades, draft picks, or pie-in-the-sky free agents, time is running out because there's a hidden catch to this meltdown. Losing now might lead to losing for years to come. Night after night, Heat fans watch their team build comfortable leads only to crumble when it matters most. The final quarter has become a nightmare. Opponents who should be easy to dispatch somehow turn into unstoppable forces in the last few minutes, leaving Miami stunned. They're not even talking about powerhouse teams here. The Heat have coughed up leads against bottom-tier squads that everyone else handles easily. But listen to this. Media analysts throw out stats. Worst fourth-quarter differential, the highest rate of blown leads, a dizzying number of clutch-time turnovers. But beyond the numbers, there's a collective mental strain. Teammates are visibly frustrated, coaches look exasperated, and fans are reminded of a time when one player used to step up in these moments like clockwork. Now, there's no proven closer. Shot after shot clanks off the rim, or last-second plays fall apart. Could it be simple bad luck? Most watchers say no. This slump runs deeper. People close to the team whisper that the confidence evaporated the moment Jimmy packed his bags. If losing one star was all it took to dent their psyche, maybe the roster was never that strong to begin with. Still, the question remains. If this crew lacks a steady finisher, why not find one? The answer, as it turns out, is messy. Jimmy Butler's immediate impact on the Warriors exposed just how vulnerable Miami truly was. As soon as he landed in the Bay Area, the entire team chemistry in Golden State shifted. Instead of watching the Heat fight down to the wire with a proud alpha dog closing games, fans see highlight reels of Jimmy propelling Steph Curry's squad to blowout wins. It's not just that the Warriors are winning, they're dominating. Their top 5 offense and defense show precisely what happens when you add a tireless competitor to a roster already brimming with talent. It gets even crazier. In Miami, rumors swirl that ownership never fully appreciated what Jimmy brought to the table. Word around the league is that they saw him as an unstable element, someone they could utilize for fuel during championship runs but never pay beyond a certain age. Now, they have neither the star nor the intangible leadership he provided. Those inside the organization who downplayed the loss are looking foolish, and people outside are marveling at how quickly the team regressed. Some high-level Heat executives privately grumble that Jimmy demanded too many resources, a near-max deal stretching into his late 30s. It's a legitimate concern for any franchise, but when you rely on an alpha competitor for your entire identity, can you really afford to let him walk? With Jimmy gone, the roster's flaws stand in stark relief. The raw truth: the supporting cast that once looked so formidable is now floundering, without the linchpin that held them together. Terry Rozier was once hailed as a quick fix for Miami's ball handling and scoring issues. Last season, he was dropping 23 points a night, pulling down rebounds, dishing assists, a legit difference maker. Then practically overnight, he collapsed. This isn't a simple shooting slump. Observers say Terry looks like he's forgotten how to play basketball. Fans are left scratching their heads, replaying his lowlights, and asking, how does someone so promising suddenly lose all confidence? And here's where things take an unexpected turn. More ominous are the accusations surfaced about potential game fixing or off-court distractions. Some insiders think he's trying to block out the fear of a permanent ban, while others blame the toxic atmosphere in Miami right now. Either way, the meltdown is hard to watch. One night he's fumbling passes, the next he's forcing drives that go nowhere. Meanwhile, social media is flooded with clips of him missing wide-open shots and turning the ball over in crunch time. The question is whether Terry's trouble is personal or just one more symptom of Miami's unraveling identity. If these misfires keep happening, the Heat may look to move on, but that leads to another puzzle. Their trade assets are diminishing in value by the day. A few short months ago, Terry was an enticing piece any contender would want. But for Miami, things aren't that simple. Thanks to a web of lottery protections and trade obligations, tanking could be the single worst move they could make. Wait until you hear the next part. Here's how it works. If the Heat miss the playoffs, they get to hold on to this year's first-round pick. Great news in theory. But that triggers a dangerous ripple effect, unlocking two unprotected future picks, one owed to OKC and another to Charlotte. If that occurs, they could end up losing high-value picks in 2026 and 2028 with no safety net. Essentially, they'd be sacrificing their future for a minuscule chance at landing a top 3 slot. Realistically, they might pick 8th or 9th, far from the surefire stardom they crave. Within the Miami front office, this is becoming a nightmare scenario. Do they push desperately for a low playoff seed just to ensure they don't lose unprotected picks down the line? Or do they risk everything and hope the ping-pong balls bounce their way, praying the star they draft can resurrect the franchise? The entire discussion highlights the pressure cooker they're stuck in. But even if they luck out in the draft, a rookie rarely saves a franchise overnight. The Heat brand is historically known for proven veterans and instant contenders. Waiting on a newbie to develop might not align with a fan base that's used to big names and immediate results. When organizations find themselves in a slump, the rumor mill goes wild. For Miami, every big name from Kevin Durant to Zion Williamson has been floated as a potential savior. Why? Because Miami remains one of the glamorous markets in the league, alongside Los Angeles and New York, capable of attracting the biggest stars with its lifestyle, tax benefits, and legacy of winning. But does a superstar alone fix the Heat's intangible issues? Yet, there's another twist to this story. One hypothetical trade scenario suggests that KD could join Miami in a multi-team deal. The Heat keep Bam Adebayo and Tyler Herro, while Phoenix and a third squad share the rest of the assets. Sure, Durant is a phenomenal talent, but is he the leader they need? He's famously claimed he doesn't want the burden of leadership. He just wants to hoop. Miami is starved for a vocal anchor who thrives on adversity, not someone who quietly disappears when the going gets tough. Another intriguing subplot. Anthony Edwards' post-All-Star trip to Miami, complete with workouts at the Heat's facility and a Bam jersey spotted in his locker. Even if it's just a casual workout, fans see a glimmer of hope. People imagine that if Minnesota stumbles in the coming years, perhaps Edwards might chase a franchise that invests everything in him. Although that's a long shot, it demonstrates how desperate some Heat loyalists are. They're scanning social media for the tiniest sign that another Jimmy-like competitor is on the horizon. When franchises lose, they often look for scapegoats. For the Heat, that's turned into a smear campaign against Jimmy Butler. Insiders leaked descriptions of him as an unstable ingredient behind the scenes, a time bomb they used just enough to reach the finals, then quietly cut ties with once he demanded long-term security. To outside observers, it sounds suspiciously like trying to rewrite history. But the real shocker is still on the way. In the aftermath, fans see parallels with how the Dallas Mavericks leaked less than flattering stories about Luka Doncic last season. Big stars can drive a team to new heights, but once they clash with management over money or creative control, the narrative flips. The truth might be somewhere in between. Perhaps Jimmy was difficult in certain situations, he's famously intense, but was it worth dismantling a proven contender just to dodge an uncomfortable contract negotiation? Now that the cracks are visible, the entire league sees the Heat as a broken team that can't close games, harboring players who either forgot how to shoot or who fear indefinite suspensions. Despite the front office's attempts to maintain a pristine Heat culture, the outside world sees that culture fracturing under pressure. Even if they manage to land another star, the question remains, will the cycle repeat? As the Heat lurch forward in search of new solutions, they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. A meltdown in the final quarter, a humbling environment that leaves potential talents crumbling, and a tangled web of draft protections that could mortgage their future. All paint a dire picture. The brilliance Jimmy brought masked a roster whose limitations were only made clear after he walked out the door. A piece that once held everything together is now shining on another stage, leaving behind a team scrambling for identity. None of this is a simple fix. They can't rely on a miraculous rookie without risking the unprotected picks that might haunt them for years. Big-name trades come with their own risks, especially when leadership on the court is a gaping void. Even if they gamble and secure a superstar like Durant or hope for someone like Anthony Edwards down the road, there's no guarantee the intangibles that made Jimmy special will return. The front office is now learning the hard way that culture isn't just a buzzword on a motivational poster. It's a living, breathing force that needs the right personalities to survive. So where does this leave Miami's faithful followers? Perhaps at the mercy of a front office that must choose between short-term sacrifice and long-term ruin. The league itself stands on unstable ground, with controversies swirling from the NBA to the W. From rumored player strikes to the fiasco of accusations surfaced plaguing the Heat's roster, basketball fans everywhere are bracing for an era of upheaval. One misstep, a trade too late, an injury too severe, a scandal too big, and the ripple effects could reshape franchises overnight. In the end, maybe the real lesson is that building a lasting legacy goes beyond collecting talent or chasing the hottest name in free agency. It demands trust, stable leadership, and a willingness to invest in the intangibles that turn a ragtag group into a juggernaut. For Miami, that might mean facing an inconvenient truth. Letting Jimmy Butler slip away wasn't just the end of a championship dream. It could be the beginning of a much darker chapter that tests the very core of Heat culture. Whether they rise again or fade into mediocrity will depend on decisions that can't be taken lightly, because once a franchise's soul is shaken, even sunny South Beach can feel like a cold, dark place. And for better or worse, the basketball world is watching, waiting to see if this storied organization can find its way back to the top, or if an era of bold statements and bigger collapses has only just begun. Thank you so much for watching till the very end. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell notification so you never miss our next upload.